Good evening, this is All India Radio Kohima. I'm Nobin Pradhan with the evening news and these are the headlines. Principal Director Dr. Vizole Z. Shukre stresses on proactive preventive measures from COVID-19 following Unlock 4 relaxations. Nagaland's COVID-19 tally climbs up to 4,178. Recovery rate improves to 83.80%. Recovery rate of COVID-19 in the country reaches 77.32%. And the center expands reach and support to artisans involved in agarbatti making. The details. Principal Director of Health and Family Welfare Department, Dr. Vizole Z. Shukre, emphasized on the need to be more careful and proactive in preventive measures from COVID-19 infection. Interacting with media persons at the Directorate office today alongside with other health officials, Dr. Shukre said with Unlock Phase 4 coming into force and more relaxations being put in place, one should behave responsibly if one does not want to be infected of the virus. He said one should remember that taking care and adapting to new normal lives is going to be paramount for all. Dr. Shukre observed that with lockdown relaxations, people have perceived that the pandemic is over and have buried social distancing norms and wearing of face masks at all times. The principal director therefore said the new normal lives which everyone needs to follow and practice are the 3 C's and 3 W's. He said the 3 C's are avoiding crowded places, closed contact settings and confined spaces, while the 3 W's are compulsory wearing of masks, wash hands frequently or use sanitizers and watch distance. Reminding that coronavirus will stay among the people for some time, Dr. Shukre said one need not be afraid as corona is like any other disease except that one should take precautions and need to be careful when handling the cases. He also cautioned that with the onset of the seasonal flu, safe practices of the new normal lives should be adopted by everyone. Dr. Shukre further informed that new SOPs for testing, discharging, quarantine and isolations will be brought about soon during the high-powered committee meeting. Principal Director Dr. Vizole Z. Shukre today said the testing capacity of COVID-19 has drastically increased for a small state like Nagaland. He said the state has crossed more than 50,000 tests, which is a big achievement. He said our test per million is much higher than the national average. Besides, the positivity rate of COVID-19 cases has also come down in about a week's time, which is a positive sign, he added. Dr. Shukre, however, said this does not mean that positive cases will come down, saying that no one knows when the second wave will come. In this, he said, we cannot remain complacent and therefore the department will increase the testing as and when required. Dr. Shukre also said at one point of time, due to the spike of positive cases among the returnees, travelers and armed forces, and asymptomatic cases turning positive, the recovery rate appeared to be very low. He, however, expressed happiness that today the state's recovery has crossed 80%. The Principal Director also informed that COVID-19 recovered persons from the state have been discharged and sent home. Dr. Shukre said, till yesterday among the asymptomatic positive cases comprising returnees, traced contacts and frontline workers, 38 are in COVID hospitals, 391 are in COVID care centers and 42 in home isolation. In Nagaland, 50 new positive cases of COVID-19 have been reported today, taking the total tally to 4,178. Health Department updated that 42 cases were reported from Dimapur, 7 in Kohima and 1 in Mon. Of the 50 cases, 41 were from the armed forces, 5 from traced contacts, 3 from returnees and 1 from frontline workers. Meanwhile, 82 COVID-19 patients have recovered, which includes 76 from Dimapur, 4 from Tuensang and 1 each in Kohima and Mokokchung. With this, the state's recovery rate improved to 83.80%. The state has now 657 active cases, while 3,501 have recovered. So far, out of 10 deaths, 8 have lost their lives due to COVID-19, while 2 deaths are not COVID-related. The country registered a maximum number of COVID recoveries of nearly 73,640 COVID patients in the last 24 hours. So far, around 32 lakh people in the country have recovered from the viral pandemic. Overall recovery rate has also maintained its upward trend and has now reached 77.32%. Health Ministry has said the constant increase in recoveries has ensured that the actual caseload of the country has reduced and currently comprises only 20.96% of the total positive cases. The number of recovered patients has overtaken the active cases by nearly 3.7 times. The ministry said the number of recovered patients in the country has grown over 4 times in the span of 2 months. In the last 24 hours, 90,633 new cases have been reported, taking the total number of positive cases to 41,13,812. Presently, the total number of active corona cases in the country is 8,62,320. In the last 24 hours, 1,065 deaths have also been reported, taking the toll to 70,626. You are listening to the news from All India Radio, Kohima. More than 2.67 crore people around the world have been infected with the coronavirus. According to America's Johns Hopkins University, globally 876,400 people have lost their lives due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The US continues to lead the count with 62,32,889 cases and 1,88,252 deaths, followed by Brazil with more than 40 lakh cases and over 1,25,000 deaths. Union Health Secretary Rajesh Bhushan today held a review meeting with the health secretaries of 5 states and 1 union territory through video conference on the containment and management of COVID-19 in 35 districts. Addressing the participants, Bhushan underscored the need to suppress, curb and eventually break the chain of transmission of the infectious disease by strengthening the active case search, focusing on the comorbids and elderly population. He advised them to strengthen the containment measures in the affected areas and scale up testing to decrease the positivity rate below 5%. Bhushan and health secretaries also discussed the detailed roadmaps and action plans for the next 1 month. The states and UTs have also been advised for effective monitoring of home isolation cases and early hospitalization in case of disease progression. Government has expanded the reach and support to artisans involved in agarbatti making to make India Atmanirbhar in agarbatti industry. Ministry of Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises (MSME) said government is continuously supporting the artisans through training, raw material, marketing and financial support. The ministry said 400 automatic agarbatti making machines and additional 500 pedal operated machines will be given to self-help groups and individuals across the country. This will immediately benefit about 1,500 artisans in providing sustainable employment with increased earnings. Artisans developing hand-rolled agarbatti and migrant workers will be given preference as part of the program. The ministry said to make India Atmanirbhar in this sector, the total size of the program has been increased to more than 55 crore rupees, which will include immediate support to about 1,500 artisans of about 3 crore 45 lakh rupees. President Ramnath Kovind and Prime Minister Narendra Modi will address the inaugural session of the Governors' Conference on National Education Policy (NEP) through video conference tomorrow. The conference, titled Role of NEP 2020 in Transforming Higher Education, is being organized by the Ministry of Education. NEP 2020 is the first education policy of the 21st century, which was announced after 34 years of the previous National Policy on Education 1986. NEP 2020 is directed towards major reforms in both school and higher education levels. The new NEP strives for making India into an equitable and vibrant knowledge society. It envisions an India-centered education system that contributes directly to transforming India into a global superpower. The Governors' Conference will also be attended by education ministers of all states, vice-chancellors of state universities and other senior officials. And to end the news, a recap of the headlines. Principal Director Dr. Vizole Z. Shukre stresses on proactive preventive measures from COVID-19 following unlock for relaxations. Nagaland's COVID-19 tally climbs up to 4,178. Recovery rate improves to 83.80%. Recovery rate of COVID-19 in the country reaches 77.32%, and center expands reach and support to artisans involved in agarbatti making. That is all the news we have in this news bulletin.